By the end of this video, I hope I'm going to make this point clear. You can transform your life, but the only thing you have to do is something that is not so obvious that we never talk about it. No one ever really trained you on doing this. So first, let's start considering attention span. You know what attention span is? It's the amount of time you can hold your attention on a given object or scenery or whatever you're paying attention to. So humans used to have around 12 seconds in 2006 and around 20 years ago. And now we have 8 seconds. This is a dramatic drop down because of the lifestyle we have, right? We're all the time on our phones, and our technology and general lifestyle, it is training us to be distracted all the time. And that's way worse than we can imagine at first. Because imagine that you have to remember something. If you cannot pay attention, how are you going to remember the different things? You're all the time saying, oh yeah, I forgot this. Well, we all know this. Sometimes you wanted to do something with your phone, like call or message someone. You pick your phone, and for some reason you leave your phone a few minutes later, and you wonder, I didn't do it. What have done? I just checked something else. So it's very important that our attention span is long enough so we can actually make memories and can really assess with clarity, which is called cognitive clarity, what is happening around, what is happening in the moment. Otherwise, you cannot see. If you cannot see really how your life is going and how the picture of everything is fitting into places, I'm talking about your life. Sometimes we cannot put things together. You cannot discover that the reason why this is happening in your life is because something else. If you don't have a deep cognitive clarity where you can assess all the elements, there's no chance that can happen. So attention span means that you are able to stabilize your attention long enough so you capture all the details of what's happening. Ideally, we will do that a lot, but unfortunately, we are most of the time distracted. So this doesn't happen. That's why many people are depressed and anxious, because you cannot put together the different reasons why things happen or different reasons why you feel in a certain way. Another aspect to consider is the logic reasoning. Logic reasoning means, well, it means different things. But in this context, what I'm saying is that if you have a longer span of attention, you will be able to hold a longer logic thread. Meaning, for example, imagine have you ever find yourself reading the same thing again? You may be reading a book or something and you just notice, well, you cannot just follow a few lines together. You just read a paragraph and you still don't even know what you just read. Well, that's okay, but this is kind of the example of what I'm saying. If you would be able to follow whole paragraph making a point or describing something, if your attention is scattered, you cannot follow the whole sentence. So if you have a 8-second span, how are you going to keep in your mind so you can understand a paragraph in a book that may take to read, I don't know, 20 seconds? It's literally impossible. So your brain kind of makes a shot of it and then just goes on thinking on something else. It goes back. You can imagine how confusing everything will be. You cannot really follow what you're reading. In the same way, the way your life is right now is made of many different aspects, right? Your financial life, your relationships, your work, your goals, your health. You make it, right? There's a lot of aspects. Society, people around you, the government. And it's difficult sometimes to manage all this if our attention is scattered. Because in the same way that I was describing before, you cannot reason where the problems come from. Why do you feel the way you do? Sometimes you may have stomach pain and you may end up screaming to someone. But it's not because someone really did anything. It's just because you had stomach pain. The reason why I mention this is because if you were able to actually acknowledge all the elements that are happening in your life, and you will be able to follow different logic connections, you will suddenly start understanding a lot of things around you. And this is crucial because otherwise you could spend a whole life not figuring out the most basic stuff. And you may find yourself stuck in depression, stuck in anxiety, the same problems, the same people. And we don't understand how to go out. People want to live a different life, but they don't know. They don't understand how to find what is exactly they have to do. They're looking for motivation. They're looking for things and they get tired. Our whole life gets distracted. So if you see what I'm trying to explain here, the most important ingredient that everybody, not everybody, hopefully, but that most people are forgetting or not taking into account is your attention training. And by that, I mean meditation, of course, but attention training in general will do, in the sense of having a longer span and being able to capture more details of whatever is happening in your life. The more you can see with clarity what's happening in your life, the longer you can sustain and logically think about, let's say, a situation you have to solve, the easier the chances you actually get an aha moment and suddenly, yeah, I see the idea. Remember when you finally found a solution to a problem you had? It just happened because something you clicked a few elements and you say, oh, now I see what the problem is. And now I know what to do. So all that was provided by your attention span. Maybe you were at some point, you were just having a shower, you were just suddenly chilling and suddenly, oh, now it comes to me. Now I understand what I have to do. Or I have this idea. Creativity. It all comes down to the same basic skill that no one has trained you, because everybody's telling you all the time what to pay attention. So, for example, advertisement. You're surrounded by advertisement, especially on your phone, but in general. Not only that, people around you, everybody is trying to tell you, yeah, look at this, look at that, listen to my story. Everybody, everything and everyone is trying to capture your attention. That's why sometimes people feel overwhelmed. But you don't have to. You can just control your attention. You don't need to remove people and go to live in the forest or something like that. Or not going and not relating to other people, or trying to avoid places and things like that. You don't need to do that. You just need to control your attention. The same way that you could be reading a book in a restaurant or in a busy place. But if you're really into the book, you kind of forget about everything else, right? You have that power. You don't need to be a victim of the way things are around you. You can decide what to focus upon. You can decide what is important in your life. And don't let maybe people, maybe things, but most likely it's going to be your own thoughts, that is distracting you from what is important. And you find yourself, oh yeah, I should do exercise. Oh yeah, I should meditate. All happens ultimately by the same problem, which is a short, scattered attention. And that's exactly what I'm making this video, hopefully to convince you that this is something you may never had realized so simple as I'm saying it, but something that you know is very well, that the biggest moments in your life, the greatest moments in your life, were actually moments where you were actually paying a lot of attention. You were maybe very relaxed, maybe very comfortable, or maybe not. Maybe you were in a state of intense activity or stimulation, but what you definitely were is paying a lot of attention. So not paying attention is equal to being distracted and thinking, oh, this, that. And you're like all the time with the same story coming up. This is easier to see in other people. Hopefully not, but if there's someone around you who's, let's say, suffering from depression or from some kind of mental imbalance, which everybody kind of does in different levels. But sometimes it's easier to see in other people how they come always with the same story all over again with the same problem. And always they feel they are powerless, and there's this situation that is causing them to feel like that and to limit themselves, to not enjoy life. So what I'm suggesting is that you can tap into a power that you never really, probably seriously in the practice considered to develop, which is your attention skills. And from that, everything will flow in a completely different level. Become like a super smarter yourself. And the way to do this, there are different methodologies in meditation. But you could literally do anything. I would suggest always to start from just have a regular routine of meditation. That should be the number one goal. If you don't have it, then have it, because otherwise anything you do on top of that may not really cut through. You need to do it constantly to retrain yourself to calm down, to relax, to chill, and to let go of all these distractions in our head. It needs to be a sort of a habit. So that's the most important thing. Start from there. And if you have a certain routine, what I would suggest is to have some sort of a model. Definitely a teacher will be a good idea. Normally teachers will save you a lot of time. But if you don't have access to a teacher, just from the top of my head, I know many people come to me and report there's this book called The Mind Illuminated. The Mind Illuminated by John Yates, or Chuladasa. Some people know him. Most people know him, actually. And it's a good book to have an idea on how you can actually not just, I sit to meditate and I sit and I just chill out and space out, just focusing on my breath, but you could spend all the time distracted, or just, you may not even notice that you are distracted, which is actually normally the case. So a system like the Mind Illuminated, and it could also be some yama, the later stages of the classical yoga, anything. Just find something that has a sort of clarity in how you can improve and how to assess your skills in attention, and that you can make sure that you can little by little develop a clear sense that you're doing better, your attention span is longer. And this is not about concentration, like forcing your mind. That will drain your energy, and you won't succeed. It needs to be done in a very specific way where you actually relax a lot. And so train your attention, because it's ultimately the only thing you need to survive in this world and to live a successful. By successful, I mean you're thriving with happiness. Happiness is the ultimate success. The rest are just means to that end, right? So how you become happier? Well, I'm just suggesting you that you definitely, for sure, 100% need a higher quality of attention. And good news, you can train that. No matter where you are, no matter how much you're suffering from a scattered mind, or you have ADHD, you can still improve. And with that, your whole life will improve.